Tunde, the son of a powerful Nigerian politician, had spent the last 18 years living a life of luxury in the UK. Now, he was finally back in Nigeria, ready to take over his father's vast empire of businesses. As his security aides unloaded his luggage from the sleek black SUV, Tunde couldn't contain his excitement. The air smelled of nostalgia and opportunity, and he was eager to reclaim his place in the world he had left behind. Standing among the entourage that had come to welcome him was Dosun, his childhood friend. Tunde clapped Dosun on the shoulder, his face lit up with joy. 18 years, my brother. Look at you. You've grown into a man. I can't wait for you to show me everything I've missed. I've heard this town is full of mysteries and beautiful women. Tonight, we explore. Dosun smiled. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the two friends climbed into Tunde's sports car and sped off into the neon-lit streets of the city. They arrived at a bustling nightclub where the air was thick with the scent of alcohol and sweat. The bass from the music thumped through the floor, and bodies moved in sync under the strobe lights. Tunde and Dosun sat at the bar, sipping expensive whiskey as they watched the crowd. After a few drinks, Dosun leaned in close, his voice low. "There's a place I want to show you," he said. "A secret spot known only to a few. You'll thank me later." Tunde's eyes sparkled with anticipation. "This is what I've been waiting for. Let's go." They left the club and drove through the winding streets until they arrived at a dimly lit building tucked away in a quiet corner of the city. A sign above the door read, "Pleasure Den." Tunde raised an eyebrow but said nothing. As they stepped out of the car, a woman walked past them, her silhouette outlined by the faint glow of the streetlights. She was breathtaking, her movements graceful, her presence magnetic. Tunde's heart skipped a beat. "That woman," he whispered, his voice trembling with desire. "She's mine tonight. I'll do whatever it takes to have her." Dosun grabbed his arm, his grip firm. "Calm down, Tunde. There are plenty of women here, but remember, they're all Oloshos. But be careful. Not everything here is as it seems." Tunde waved him off, his eyes fixed on the woman. "I don't care. She's all I want." Inside the pleasure den, the atmosphere was electric. The woman Tunde had seen outside was now on the stage, dancing with a hypnotic grace. Her movements were fluid, almost otherworldly, and Tunde was entranced. He pushed through the crowd, his eyes locked on her. "You're all I want," he declared, his voice filled with passion. "I'll never let you go. In this temple, I'll build my castle and raise my kingdom." The woman turned to him, her expression unreadable. "You don't know me," she said softly. "If you did, you wouldn't say such things." But Tunde was undeterred. He took her hand and led her to his car, ignoring Dosun's warnings. They drove to a hotel nearby and booked a room. The hotel room was lavish, bathed in the soft glow of golden lights. A king-sized bed dominated the space, its silk sheets shimmering under the chandelier. The air was heavy with the scent of jasmine and something else, something faintly metallic, like the tang of blood. Tunde closed the door behind them, his heart racing. The woman stood in the center of the room, her back to him. She turned slowly, her eyes locking onto his. There was something unsettling about her gaze, something that made Tunde's skin crawl, but he brushed the feeling aside. "What's your name?" he asked, his voice trembling with desire. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Names don't matter here," she replied. "Only the moment." Tunde stepped closer, his hands reaching for her. "Then let's make this moment unforgettable." The woman hesitated, her expression darkening. "We need to negotiate," she said, her voice cold. Tunde laughed, his confidence unshaken. "I don't care about money. I want you. Your beauty has captured me. I want you in my life forever and ever." The woman's eyes narrowed. "You don't know who I am," she whispered. "If you did, you'd run." Tunde's smile faltered. "I don't really care about your past. All that matters is that you are here with me now, and I love you." The lady was silent and stood still. Then Tunde, out of curiosity, said, "Tell me then, Who are you? The woman reached into her bag and pulled out a small bottle filled with a strange shimmering liquid. Drink this, she said, her voice low and commanding. Then you'll see. Tunda stared at the bottle, his mind racing. The liquid inside swirled like molten gold, catching the light in a way that seemed almost hypnotic. He hesitated, but the woman's gaze held him captive. Tunda exhales and reluctantly said, "If it's from you," he said, his voice trembling, "I'll drink it." He uncorked the bottle and downed the liquid in one gulp. It burned his throat, and for a moment, the room seemed to tilt on its axis. He blinked, and when his vision cleared, he saw it. A massive snake coiled on the bed, its scales glistening like polished obsidian. Its eyes glowed with an unnatural light, and its forked tongue flicked out, tasting the air. Tunda stumbled backward, his heart pounding in his chest. What is this?" he stammered, his voice barely a whisper. The snake hissed, its body uncoiling as it slid off the bed and onto the floor. Tunda turned and bolted for the door. He ran through the hotel corridors, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The snake pursued him relentlessly, its hisses echoing in the empty hallways. He stumbled down the stairs and into the street, the creature always just a step behind. He stumbled into his car, but the snake was already there, its forked tongue flicking in the darkness. He abandoned the car and ran through the city, his heart pounding in his chest. The snake pursued him relentlessly, its presence a constant terrifying shadow. The night stretched on, an endless nightmare of fear and exhaustion. When dawn finally broke, Tunda collapsed in the middle of the street, his body trembling and his mind shattered. A crowd gathered, their murmurs growing louder as they recognized him. Cameras flashed and reporters began to swarm. By midday, Tunda's face was plastered across every news outlet. The son of a prominent politician, found half-naked and delirious in the streets. His father's empire began to crumble under the weight of the scandal. Tunda was rushed to the hospital, where he drifted in and out of consciousness. When he finally woke, he saw a nurse standing by his bed. She turned to him, and his blood ran cold. It was her, the woman from the spa. Her eyes glinted with a sinister light as she leaned closer. Tunda tried to scream, but no sound came out. The last thing he saw before darkness claimed him was her smile, sharp and predatory. What happens next? Will Tunda escape the snake woman's grasp, or is he doomed to relive the nightmare? Stay tuned for part 2, where the story takes an even darker and more terrifying turn.